Hello, everybody. I apologize. We're having some technical differences today, but I want to thank you all for showing up with us. I have some magnificent sisters that we are going to talk about our lives as a Black woman in the United States of America, KKK. And this is in light of some things that have happened, but I'm going to bring on my panel. Now, first of all, I have a beautiful young lady who is a community activist and a personal friend of the Richardson family. This is the wonderful Miss Shannon. We also have the amazing president of the Grand Prairie NAACP, and that is Miss Angela Luckey. And then we have a brilliant attorney that can definitely give us input as a Black woman, and that would be the awesome Mrs. Kim Cole. All right, so now what I want to do is to lay the foundation on what we're going to speak of today so that we are all on the same page. And then basically tell what led to this conversation. So now, what we want to make clear so that we are all on the same page, we want to discuss the difficulties that we encounter as Black women. We want to discuss what has gone on with Sha'Carri. Now, be clear, we are not justifying or saying that, she knows what she did, but she still deserves support and doesn't deserve to be thrown away or the ugly comments that we have made. That being said, I want to share with you all quickly what led to this conversation. When I saw what was going on with Sha'Carri, it was about Wednesday, it was Thursday night, I think it was, is when I saw it break on social media. I lost it. I was in tears. I was throwing stuff. I was just angry. And my anger was not with what she did. It was with the circumstances surrounding it. It was Thursday or Friday as well. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was in my kitchen and I broke down and had the ugly cry. The ugly cry. Because as a Black woman, I'm exhausted. I recently watched Mary J's special. And what I took from that was the difficulties we as Black women have in relationships, careers, and that relationship is with the same and opposite sex. Her father abandoned her. And I can relate to that because every male that assumed the obligation to love me unconditionally failed me as well. And the key thing is it doesn't matter if you have fame and fortune. She struggled in both conditions. Then I had to cry with Serena Williams. Y'all know Serena had a baby. She had a white doctor. She told this doctor that she was prone to blood clots. He didn't listen. She had to do an end run around him to protect herself. And I can relate to that as well because I told a white doctor I was not well. And I woke up in ICU. She didn't listen. And the fallout from that is my 9-year-old child to this day is concerned about my mortality because he was locked in a house with me and I was literally dying because they feel that we as Black women have a higher tolerance for pain. And then as Black women, they just simply discriminate. They don't give us the service. Medical apartheid. And then finally, there's Sha'Carri. As a Black woman in corporate America, and I know everyone on here can relate, the "can I touch your hair" questions at work. Your hair is an adventure. And don't let you show any passion. Then you're an angry Black woman. I saw the things that we, our own people, said about Sha'Carri. We should have been supporting her. She acknowledged what she did, and that should have been it. But people are still attempting to harm her. This child found out her mom passed from a reporter in an interview. And a good friend of mine said, it doesn't matter what the relationship is with your mom. When you lose her, it still hurts. And I can attest to that. So today, we're just going to have this conversation. And again, anybody, you can ask questions in the chat, type questions. I can put them on the screen. You can tell who you want them addressed to or anything. One other thing, let's talk about mental health in Black women. I am somebody, the stress of being a Black woman, a parent, at this time, I would like to even have a counselor to deal with the racial trauma. If you don't know, I was shot in the head last summer by Dallas Police Department with the non-lethal on the bridge, June 1st. We were on the bridge. These things have troubled me. Like I said, I'm exhausted. So I went to my premier insurance company to find a counselor. I can't even find a Black one. And definitely not one that has dealt with racial trauma. I can't even help myself. These are the things we face as Black women. So I've listed a few things. We've got the mental health aspect, everything. I want to hear what y'all got to say. What are your thoughts on things that are going on right now? Anybody? Shannon, Kim, Angela?
Hey everybody, Shannon Walker here, and thanks for having me here for this very important conversation. It's a much needed conversation, bringing awareness to the barriers and the issues and everything facing us as Black women. Um, Speaking on the mental health, I had a conversation around mental health issues in our community and the stigma a few weeks ago at a candlelight vigil that I held for a personal friend of mine. And so I left them with a personal challenge at the end of that, and it was to start to be a little bit more aware. When your people around you are struggling and are trying to reach out, because I know during those times it's a struggle for a person to build up enough strength to reach out, for whatever reason. So there's a number of barriers that would prevent, us from getting that type of care. A lot of times the right care is we don't have access to it for many different reasons. It could be transportation or just a lack of knowledge of where to find resources or, from like-minded people that have shared experiences. So yeah, that it's a problem, and we've been working here in the community with some other organizations to identify what those challenges are and try to meet the needs and meet people where they are in regards to getting that care. So yeah, we've identified it and we're just trying to work to improve it. I know there's a lot that could be done moving forward. So this is a good platform, to get feedback from community members and people that are out there who could possibly be struggling, that need resources. So I have some, and I will give them at the end of our meeting next day.
Thank you so much for that. Um,
Do I sound muffled?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Um, let's hear from Angela. What are your thoughts?
Hello.
Hello.
Well, my thought with the mental health issues and challenges that plague the African American community, especially Black women. Many Black women suffer from anxiety. It doesn't matter what type of career or profession you're in, Black women are going to suffer from some form of anxiety um, on the job. And I can personally attest to that. 26 years I was employed with Department of Defense, and Black women tend, and I'm gonna speak about myself, but sometimes as a Black woman, we think that we supposed to take on everything on our shoulder, that we're not supposed to speak up. When you're in the workplace, you see people that are getting promoted, you see things that are happening around you that that is not deserving of those individuals that are being promoted. But because you are Black and because you are educated, many times we are pushed to the side, or we are easily for others to be intimidated of, only because we are professional, only because we are educated. And when you have to work in an environment where you have to maintain professional at all times, because the minute that you act out, the consequences are going to be different from you. You're going to be suspended or you're going to be fired. And if you're working for a federal job, you might be handcuffed, just depending on the way that you act out. But as a Black woman, being in any type of industry, and then for me, working for the federal government, suffering from anxiety quietly by yourself, and you really don't have a group that you really can even speak out to and talk about the things that you are actually enduring and encounter on a day to day in a federal workplace, because you're thinking, hey, I work for a federal government agency, and these things are not supposed to happen because they are the ones that are putting these rules and these laws in place. But when you find yourself as a federal employee, it does not work. The rules does not apply to you as far as when it comes to an equal opportunity or being promoted. A lot of people that are Black, especially Black women, we come into the workforce. We come into the workforce to do a 100%, get 100%, and to do an excellent job. And at the same time, we expect the same treatment as far as being promoted. But it most definitely have a toll on your life, on your mental state. For me, that it did. But in silence, you had to put on an air as if everything was together when everything was not together, because this is what society expects of Black women. We supposed to be strong. It's almost like we have to hold the family together instead of the men holding the family together. And I just think that's unfair.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think, can you hear me better now? Okay, I changed my mic. To add to that, I know that goes back to even, slavery days when Black women were um, held the responsibility of raising the whites' kids, and all of that. So I agree with you. It's their Black women are just held to a higher standard, and we have to normalize talking about mental health and how we're feeling, and if we're not having a good day. I don't have an attitude. It's not that I am choosing to be aggressive towards you today. I'm just having a bad day. It's just simply I'm having a bad day, and I have that right to have a bad day. So just as like y'all, Karen and everybody, y'all have y'all, and it's okay, take the day or however. Look, I'm having a bad day, baby. Look, it's no problem with y'all. So
And
I
you have to
definitely
know,
agree with you, Miss Lucky.
we are not allowed to have a bad day. And sometimes the anxiety for me, I wake up, it hits, and some days it's almost debilitating.
Yes. And building support structures in our communities is definitely one way to start to, I think, heal that trauma. Um, because I don't know of any, just thinking off right off the top of my head, I can't think of any support systems that are for women of color, specifically to address depression and mental health and all that. So, it's going to take some leaders to just get out in the community and create these spaces, because they're not going to be given to us. So we're going to have to get out there and create them and make them bring them into existence. And we can do that.
We can. And I'm Kim Cole needs to speak, but I just want to share a quick, she's just sitting there. I just want to share a quick story just to show you how our community, this is my previous church. I had I've a little bit of a temper. So I was taking anger management. I was going to counseling for that at the church. So I would go to the church, and the guy in the guard shack that had the lettuce on the lot asked me, he was trying to flirt with me, and I'm already late. And so I'm agitated because I'm late. So I said, hey, he's trying to steady flirt. I don't have time I'm here. I'm going to the counseling center. Because I spurned his advances, he started making fun of me and trying to indicate I was crazy for going to the counseling center. Oh, I know what you're here for, counseling. I was crazy because I didn't want him. In all honesty, dude, your office is a 3x3. I don't think I'm what you need. I told the person over security that this was going on, and they did remove him. But that's an example of how the community handles it. He used it to hurt me because I didn't want to talk to him. Kim Cole, what are your thoughts?
As a Black professional, and certainly as a female, I've experienced what all of you have. I've been in worked for corporations where I was the most highly educated and one of the lowest paid. I was, matter of fact, the most highly educated, the one most highly educated, and was making less than someone with a high school diploma, a white female. So we're not, as Black women, we are not given the luxury of being mediocre. I mean, we have to work twice as hard to go half as far. And we're not given that luxury of learning, especially in a corporate or a professional environment. We're not given that learning curve. We're expected to excel, but yet not be compensated for our excellence. And I think that carries through in every facet, because there is this expectation on Black women to take on all of this. They pile it on. Even with medical issues, I actually lost a child. My blood pressure spiked at 32 weeks, and my doctor kept rolling the dice every week. So at 37 weeks, I was 197 over 106. I texted everybody. I said, surely he's going to deliver my daughter today. So, just to let you know, I'm probably not coming home. And he sent me out the door. He said, okay, see you next week. I said, excuse me, when are you going to deliver her? And he was like, oh, she's fine. Her heartbeat's strong. She's fine. And I was like, what about me? I mean, because it's got to be dangerous for my blood pressure to be this high. And he's like, no, you're fine. You're not toxemic. You're not preeclamptic. You're fine. Went back the next week, no heartbeat. This is how they treat Black women. This is how they treat Black women. They expect us to endure. And unfortunately, that has become the expectation in our community. We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we're expected to have a pleasant attitude and to grin and bear it and to keep pushing. And I think it is very damaging, not only individually, but it's damaging in our interactions with others. I would say for me, it's damaging in my relationships because I am deemed as strong and I am deemed as unemotional because I don't have the luxury to cry. I don't have the luxury to break down. I can't. I have all of this on my back and I have to keep pushing. And so I think this is a very important conversation to have because as much as we wear that cape as Superwoman, we're human. Just like Sha'Carri said, I am human. I lost my mother at 21 years old. I understand that is one of the most devastating things to ever experience. The one person that's been a part of your life for your entire existence is gone. Regardless of the relationship, it will never be anything from that moment. So that is a very, very devastating thing to, that's a very devastating thing to have to go through. And so I understand that we as a community, because in our community, mental health, there is a stigma attached to it. And so people self-medicate. Instead of seeking professional help, they self-medicate with alcohol, with marijuana, with other illicit drugs. And we need to embrace seeking mental health assistance from a professional versus muscling through it, which I tend to do. I will overwork myself until I literally pass out because that's the expectation.
And I will say that as somebody, like I said, first of all, with me being adopted, the father, you chose. I was adopted by you. You chose to love me unconditionally. The husband, man, you chose. And 99.9% failed. So now I have learned to stand without that piece as well. And so and it's not that I'm male bashing. I would love to have consistent male companionship, a relationship with which I could build with someone. But first of all, because you're a strong Black woman, they don't even approach you. Don't even give you the chance. They think you're going to be too different. When, baby, I'm what you need. You want the strong woman. I heard a pastor speak one time. You want the woman that if somebody break in the house, baby, you got the gun, I got a frying pan. We in this together. And I'm walking out that door behind my man to protect our home. But they don't seem to value that, or we're too hard of work. And they like the low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to stay up here, and if I got to stay by myself, I'll be by myself. And so Letitia said this, I'm tired of us going through the gymnastics of trying to tie cannabis use to trauma. Well, you are correct. Like she said, we do self-medicate.
But I mean, even just on a daily, some people just utilize it on a daily because it, just they can release and just let go of the stresses of the day or whatever the purpose is. I think it's used to criminalize Black people, this just unnecessarily, and it's used, for that purpose. And what do you think?
Letitia's point was that, and what I said, people did not look at the circumstances around her. Let's just be candid. And she's a child. She lost her mama and found out about it in a blindsided. She was blindsided with it. She's being dragged on the internet for her physical appearance because she's not skinny, blonde haired, and blue eyes. Because that is what somebody else said beauty was. She's hurting. She sees these comments. She saw what y'all said about her, and it hurt. It would hurt any person. And to me, on different levels, we failed Sha'Carri. And instead of looking at fixing the cause, we just want to criticize the result. She did it. Yes, she did. She said she did. But she deserves a modicum of empathy. She still deserves respect, and she's still a champion Olympic athlete. And we still should hold her as one of our sheroes. And I know personally I do. But people still want to just throw her under the bus. This morning I woke up, Sha'Carri had made a positive tweet. She says she would do right and she's going to do better next time. First tweet I saw in response is from a Black man. Negative, just nasty. But now the good part was a sister came on there and took him to task and she did him in. But still, why? The girl said she did it. Why do we still need to beat her over the head about it? This is what happens. And see, this is the part that gets me. What's this girl? Houlihan. A Caucasian Olympic athlete that failed a test for doping, and she blamed it on a pork burrito she ate. Why didn't I hear about that? But the next morning we drag him to Terry. A pork burrito, and this child admitted what she did.
But do you think the results would have been different if Sha'Carri would have just said, "Hey, I was just chilling and I smoked"? You know, I mean,
No,
and it didn't have
because
anything to do with everything else. You know, the all the other issues.
I
I
have.
feel I feel that when you in the public light, like Shakira is in the public light, there are people that were waiting. They were looking. They were probing, trying to find something. Not only with Sha'Carri, but I truly believe with every Black athlete that is headed to Tokyo to be able to participate, because she loves track. Anyone that has been a former athlete, you love that sport that you're actually playing. And I ran track ever since I was like 5 years old, all the way up to high school and also in college. So, being out on that track field, and that's something that she enjoyed doing, she's not going to jeopardize that. I don't believe that white Americans really cared about what was happening to her. I don't believe that they really had empathy or even cared about the fact that her biological mother did pass away. I believe that this was an opportunity for them to be able to drag her name in a negative way and be able to just put drugs there and not really just saying what type of drug that they were speaking about. This was another opportunity to drag a Black person's name through the media. And I think that's what we need to, also focus on. Why do the media feel that they need to persecute African Americans when African Americans have been accused of doing something? Pot, marijuana has always been something that white men love to do. And I'm not trying to single white men away from Black men, because I know everybody race you have someone that smoked. Now, personally, I've never smoked. I've never even puffed a cigarette. Have I ever been accused of doing drugs? Yes. Like I mentioned, working for the Department of Defense, I remember a white man coming into my office with a Black man. The white man grabbed my left arm. And when I asked what was he doing, he told me he was looking for track marks. Track marks. And I'm being honest, I didn't even know what track marks was until I got home and I told my husband, about something happened to me at work that I found to be unusual. They said they were looking for track marks. It never crossed me that they were talking about like a needle, that I'm actually putting the needle in my arm, until I got home and my husband said track marks is a needle, like somebody that shoot up. I couldn't wait to get back to Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth to speak to the CEO of that base and place the call to the Pentagon. Because as a African American woman, as a professional woman, as a woman that's never ever puffed anything, don't take drugs, don't do drugs, I felt highly offended. And the reason they said that they were looking is because I was filing EO complaints and I was always speaking up. So I just feel that sometime in white Americans in white society, they already deem that black people do drugs. They make those false allegations. And so because she ran so fast, they were looking for something. They needed to tag her name with something. Although she admitted to have smoking marijuana from based on what people are saying, it doesn't give her that type of advancement to where she would be setting those type of records and things like that. I just think that again, it's another something that's out there that they want to always be able to hold us accountable for things that they do that they're never held accountable for. And we need to pay attention to that and we need to look at that. And I think that everyone, blacks, white, we need to stand behind her. We need to speak out. We need to speak up. I think that whatever sponsorships, I feel that they need to allow her to keep those sponsors that she
Nike
has
did.
because, again, when you're looking around the state, even here in the state of Texas, they're pushing trying to make marijuana legal. A lot of states have legalized marijuana. So how do you come back
19.
and say to a professional athlete, you're not going to be able to compete in the Olympics, something that she's been working her entire career, her entire life to be able to get to that. And again, it just goes back to the fact she's a strong, beautiful, arrogant, and she can tear up that track with her feet, and they just don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
They consider her a uppity negress.
And in addition to that, the NFL, NBA, Hockey League, they've all lifted marijuana off the banned substances list. So it's not even, they don't even consider that. They don't even test for that anymore.
And 19 states have made it legal. But they just want to demonize her, make her a thug. And just there goes those black people again. And that's all that is. Now, if you look at it, this is the entire thing that the critical race theory is about. Systems that are in place to hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
Your media is a system in place that can hurt whomever it chooses, and it seems to lean on us a lot. The whole issue. And let me tell you this, I've read an article. You have members of Congress. They are the chairman. Let me see here. Let me get it right. Getting right. The agent Sha'Carri is now facing congressional investigation. They're getting ready to investigate that agency. And that's a shame. But I see one of the legislators is, of course, Alexandra Cortez, AOC.
She wrote a letter of support.
And it's the oversight committee, and they are expressing dismay and asking for an investigation from what I read from that article. So that tells you it's wrong. It tells you, and again, we're not justifying. Right was right. We knew what the expectation was, but the problem is the expectation does not make sense. We're subject to so many rules as a Black woman regarding our hair, our demeanor, because again, if you show emotion, that makes you an angry Black woman. Our motherhood, relationship-wise, and this is another thing that gets me. They want us to be ride or die. They measure our value as a woman by how much shit we'll take off of a man. You to get out of here with that bullshit. I'm not here for it. If you don't make the relationship easy for me, it does not happen. We passed that stage. And I hate that you want me to be a ride or die. but you get away with cheating. I say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You want to run around? Let's all run around. Angela?
Well, what I was just gonna, echo off of that is that, there are so many disrespectful black men that are existing. When we take a look at our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation, black men tend to respect African American women, but that have reversed to where black men are now feeling comfortable to disrespect black women, and I think that we need to hold them accountable. And for the black men that do not disrespect black women, they need to be a part of a movement holding black men accountable that feel that they have to disrespect black women. I mean, they get on Facebook, social media, and even with Sha'Carri's situation, you have a lot of black men that are really being disrespectful toward her. Some of the comments that they are saying, and many of them have smoked marijuana. And you have to pose the question to them: did it stop your advancement? Did it stop you from working? But yet you rather get on social media and you want to be very disrespectful toward this black woman. But I just think that it's unfortunate, but it's wrong that black men think that it's okay to continue to disrespect us. It have to stop. I think that black men that disrespect black women, they're angry. And then they do want to say that strong black women that we're angry. No, we're not angry. We're just not going to allow you to be the man that's just going to lay up on us and not work. And we're the only one that's bringing in the money. So we're not going to allow that. It does not make us angry. And for women that does allow that, and women that allows men to disrespect them, again, all that has something to do with mental health issues, because nobody wants to be disrespected. Nobody wants to be cheated on. But again, it just really goes back to the morals, the values, and the upbringing, and then the black community. Is the black community healthy when we take a look at mental health issues? No. Do white Americans care about the health of the black community? No, they don't. And so that's why we see so many black on black killings in the black community. That's why drug dealers are allowed to push drugs in the black community, because the white American society, the police, the people that runs our police departments, they see it happening. Do they go in and take people to jail as often as they should? No, they don't. Because if they did, we would not see so many black people strung out on drugs in black communities. So who will start standing up and speaking up for black people? Because when you do stand up and speak for black people, a lot of these situations and unarmed shootings by white police officers that have killed a black person that was unarmed, it's usually a strong black woman standing up. You have attorney Kim Cole that's on here, have to represent families of those victims. And then you have Dr. Grayson on here that have to get out and have to become an advocate, and also found herself in those shoes as a victim, as well, with her son's death and murder and so forth. But again, who stands up for the black community? How many people are really willing to risk their life for black people? Because I feel sometimes black people have given up on them on selves. They've given up on themselves. They've given up on the black community. Many people that was raised up in the hoods or the projects, because they made it out, a lot of them don't give back. A lot of them don't even want their white friends to know that they was raised up in the projects, that when they turned on the light they saw 1,000 roaches running, or whatever the case may be. A lot of them pretend or want to pretend to people that they feel that are successful or does not look like their family members. They don't want that image of them to be like that when they're around their circle of white people. And I just think, again, those black people that are watching, that are listening, I'm not trying to offend you, but at some point you got to do a reality check on yourself. You got to wake up, because you know your upbringing, regardless what family member made you upset coming up. I just still feel that we all owe it to this generation that are coming up, the generation that can stand in front of grown people and say 1,000 curse words and don't even care if you're an adult. I remember coming up, we wouldn't dare, even say damn or hell because we'll get popped just saying damn or hell. These kids do a whole sentence with curse words and see grown people standing there and don't care. But somebody got to stand up, and they have to care about the black community, the black family, and it really should be starting with these black men that want to address women that are strong as B's and W's and things like that. So again, in order for us to become a stronger person, a stronger people, a stronger family, a stronger black community, black people just got to get together, and we got to stick together. I sometimes look and I say, white people stick together. They can be mad on a Monday, and on a Tuesday they be, you know, they got each other back. So do Hispanics. Black people, the first thing we'll say is, it didn't happen to me. I don't want to be involved. Even though I know something, I'm not going to speak up and say nothing because then they'll come after me. We come up with the most craziest things in order to be able to stay out of things that we should be speaking out against, and we should be telling things on, and we won't do it because we're fearful of what somebody white that really don't even care anything about you gonna think about you. And you
Hmm.
guys, and that's real. So many people call me on a daily. So many people inbox me and say, if you get out of the NAACP, or if you stop protesting, or if you stop helping black people that know they shouldn't have been doing this and that and they did that, then maybe white people will accept you more. I done lived 55 years, and I don't care if white people don't accept me. I don't care if black people, Hispanic, I don't care what your race is. I don't care if they don't accept me, because one thing about living, I'm going to live not being fake. I'm going to live being Angela. And one thing you're going to get with me is going to be truthfulness. And I just think that when we start holding this stuff in and we don't speak out about it and we don't come to the rescue of another black woman that's been criticized, that's been ridiculed, who are we to judge what Sha'Carri was feeling that day, her emotions? We can't judge her. We supposed to be there to support her, and we supposed to stand in the gap. I feel the punishment is harsh. Somebody calculated the days, and they're punishing her. Punishing her means she won't get to run her individual's events. And then people are saying, well, she get to run the relay. But you got to see where the math came in. This is about punishing. This is about not allowing a black woman to be able to shine in Tokyo. You know why? Because they already got somebody else they want to shine. When it comes to black women that are aggressive, that are strong, that are intelligent, you better believe that the whole firing squad is pointing against you and towards you. They're waiting for that one mishap. And that is the reason I wake up every day. And I just thank God that I've never had the desire to do drugs or do alcohol. And I just wake up every day smiling, saying, Lord, thank you for keeping me. And they don't understand who fights my battle. And so I'm going to let someone else speak, but we got to be real with ourselves, and we got to stop being afraid of an image of what people going to think about you, all because you want to help another black person.
Yes, accountability is very important.
Exactly. Couple of things. Anybody viewing, please type your questions or comments in the chat. They will be addressed. Now, when we talk black on black crime, most murders occur within 2 miles of the home. If you're black, you live in a black neighborhood. White on white crime is not a term, but it happens more frequently than black on black crime. So I don't want that used as justification. No. Black on black crime is wrong. White on white crime is wrong. Neither of it justifies or diminishes our situation here in America.
Yeah.
Additionally, yes, ma'am. Shannon?
Well, I just kind of wanted to briefly discuss, like, well, I guess it may not be of importance, but it's like some of the aggression from black men, that I read in the comments were directed towards, her making the statements that she was bi. And we all know, sometimes in the black community how it gets when the LGBT experience or lifestyle comes into any just come to into play at all. Even myself, with my own family and experiences. So um I just wanted to share that.
I agree with you, but and I've often said this, being in a black family, we have a tendency to be raised in the church. And the church taught at least me, and I believe many others, so wrong when it comes to LGBTQIA. I distinctly remember my mom telling me I can't talk to anybody that's a member of that community. You can't talk to so and so because she's one of those people. That's literally what the conversation was. And I had to mature beyond that, in that understanding my role as a follower of Christ. He told me to love you. He didn't tell me to judge you. I don't care what you do. It's my job to love you. And that's it. And when we do that, that brings a lot of the solution. But it is, I can say from me, the church really ingrained a lot of BS in me. Now, the church I go to now is liberating. I love it. And I feel I feel I'm a whole different and better person. Um, but being raised, things like being docile, and your goal in life was, I remember one time being told, because I didn't know how to make Kool-Aid. I knew you threw sugar in. I don't know how much. And the comment made was, you've got to be somebody's wife, because I couldn't make Kool-Aid. Baby, Kool-Aid ain't what they're going to want me for. So that was the mindset. At the age of 12, I was told to pray for a husband. 12. And the extent of that was, pray for a husband that doesn't wear gold that turns green. So he doesn't wear fake gold. That was the gist.
I just want to share that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it and the black community is incorrect teaching.
It's our culture, some of it
Mhm.
is just, part of the culture that's wrong, and that some of it has been changed and evolved, but some of it stays the same over time. And, to a lot of us, it's not fair, but, we move on and we live and we make a way.
So we can say, as a black woman, we have these kind of mythical, stereotypical issues within our own community and outside of our community. We're getting a double whammy on that.
And I say, like, for me, I've been married twice. My first husband, I'll say that was like a young marriage. I was in my senior year of college, graduating with my bachelor's degree, and my husband and I, we got married. We was married for like a whole year and a half before anyone even knew that we were even married. That's something that we did up on our own. Went to the courthouse, and the judge that was there um, actually took off his ring and gave it to him in order to be able to like marry us and so forth like that. So while we was in college, our senior year, we decided to get married, and then I had a son. But I stayed married in that relationship for 8.5 years, and probably was single for like 3 months, and ended up getting married again for 11.5 years to another man. And in that second marriage, I had two children from that marriage, and he died in 2015. But one thing that I can say about both of those black men that I was married to, they believe in taking care of the family. I didn't have to work if I chose not to work, but because I had a college degree, I wanted to work. I wanted to have my own money, but there was not a requirement. And when I did work and I had a federal job, my income did not was not used to pay the bills in the house. In both marriages, my husbands paid all the bills in the household. So as a single woman now, I just, I mean, I guess I'm single because I choose not to have a broke man. So I'm just, nothing against a broke man, as far as those that want to be broke. But I just choose not to have a broke man because now I'm in retirement. I have a retirement monthly income coming in, and I just don't feel that it's my responsibility to take care of a whole grown a whole grown man. I just don't see it. So that's the reason that I'm single. So I love men. I have a lot of friends that date women. I have a lot of female friends that date women. I have a lot of male friends that date males. That's their prerogative. That's what they like. I don't discriminate on somebody else's business. That's the life that they're living. That's my thought on that. And for me, my preference, I would like to find a God-fearing black man, that have a paycheck, or that's in retirement like me, that have income in, that's not looking for someone to take care of them. Again, I just you had mentioned Dr. Grayson earlier about you know men thinking that women that are independent, or that won't take a lot of the BS, the nonsense that comes in those expectation of relationships, um, be thinking like they're angry. No, angry. If I'm not angry, I just know that I don't want to support laziness. I understand if you lost your job, but coming in a relationship and you're a hustler, that's not the man that I'm looking for.
All righty then.
And sometimes it will affect the choices that we make, the system that has been put in place to oppress us and to keep us down. Because I have experiences where I know that I was qualified for a position that I didn't apply for because I wasn't confident enough because of one thing or another, or because I looked in the environment and I might have saw something that I didn't agree with, or it might have been all white or predominantly white or something. So all that plays a role in the choices that we make and how we move and shake on a day to day. And so, yeah, I think at the end of the day, there needs to be a support system that, we can share and talk and realize that, hey, we're all experiencing the same things. How can we rebuild a system that works better for us? And yeah.
And I agree with you. Kim.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I guess the honorable brother Malcolm X put it best. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman, and the most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And it really disheartens me to see that it has become trendy for our Black men to publicly berate us, criticize us, and just talk trash about Black women, because every single one of them came from a Black woman. And it is very important. And I'm very glad that Dr. Grayson had this forum today, because if we can't count on our Black men to protect us, to respect us, to support us, let's lean on each other, sisters. Let's support one another. Let's support Sha'Carri. Let's lean on each other, because we all have shared experiences. We're all going through this same thing on different levels and different aspects of our lives. And it's unfortunate that, like I said, right now it seems to be trendy with folk like Kevin Samuels and the like to just disrespect Black women. And so let's make it a point to uplift and encourage one another, because we're all human. We all have flaws, but yet we are all worthy of our humanity, and we're worthy of support. And so let's support one another and lift each other up, And like we'll do for Sha'Carri. I mean, she deserves it. She is a sister, whether she's muscular or curvy or light or dark or has black hair or beautiful orange hair like like Dr. Grayson. It does not matter. She is our sister and she deserves our support. And so even if Black men won't stand with us, let's stand together.
I agree. And we've had a few marches here, women's marches, and Black men didn't turn out for us. Kim, I'm gonna have you address Miss Craig Latcher's question. How do we address equal pay? Since they were getting over on you so bad, I'm gonna need you to talk about that. Unmute yourself.
I think we need to address equal pay the same way we address police brutality. We must, because we all go through that. And we, like, I forgot Shannon. She said, you know, we suffer in silence. We're silent. And we will muscle through it and we will continue to keep our nose to the grindstone and do a good job. We'll show up every time. And yet we will suffer in silence. And I think it's past time for us to step out of that and to demand what we are due. Just like we get out here and demand justice in the street whenever there's an unlawful killing by law enforcement, we must demand equal pay the same way. So every time we need to create a movement, every time complain, document, file EEOC complaints, because that'll get you in court. And once they start getting some of these cases that have been ruled in favor of Black women, they'll change their tune. Because once you get in their pocket and it becomes public, they'll change their tune. So I think we need to address it the same way we address any other injustice, because unequal pay is an injustice. I deserve to be paid what I'm worth. If I have gone through the time and the effort to educate myself and to seek out a position that requires much greater responsibility and much more detailed tasks than someone with a high school diploma, I deserve better pay.
Yes, correct.
And I deserve to be paid what I'm worth. So it is an injustice to pay us less than our counterparts. And we need to attack that the same way we address these officer-involved killings. We need to address it the same way. Come out in mass, in force, and make sure you document and get those complaints on file, because they'll see a pattern, just like there is in officer-involved shootings. You win by establishing a pattern of practices that are unlawful and unconstitutional. And it absolutely 100% is unconstitutional to pay someone differently based upon their race. So we need to get those cases, file those EEOC complaints, and get in court and start filing suits and get some good legal precedents set, so that the next time the next sister that experiences this, she can say, oh, well, in this case over here, this is how the court ruled in this person's favor. So we address it the same way.
I think that's great. Now, keep in mind what Ms. Luckey said. You've got to stand up. And many times you're going to stand alone. Paper whoops ass every time. If there's a paper trail, that cannot be disputed. And when you file, if they come at you in any way, shape, or form, it's retaliation. You document that, and it goes worse for them than it ever will you. Because if they retaliate, that says they got something to hide. So Ms. Craig Latcher said thank you for that. So we are going to go ahead and begin to wrap this up.
Dr. Grayson, I want to make another point in reference to the job. And then also, when you're hired, usually when you get these jobs, they'll say, okay, additional duties assigned. Sometimes it'd be a whole different job, another job that they don't want to pay someone else to come in. It's your responsibility to make sure that you make management document that these are duties that you're doing daily. And that right there can also help justify you to get a salary increase. And if you're on the federal job, with a federal job, you need to contact Office of Personnel Management and let them know, hey, I've been performing this job now for 2, 3, 5 years, and have them to come in and do a desk audit. And if it warrants, then OPM would send right back to that federal agency that this is a higher grade. And that agency will be pushed to have to actually promote that person to a higher grade level. So again, just don't be doing the work thinking that after being somewhere, 10 years, that eventually you're going to become the manager or the supervisor. If they're not acknowledging you right now and giving you all that work, 10 years later, you're going to be regretting that you even gave them 10 years of your life working and building that company.
Woo, say that. That's what
Make,
Sister Frederick said.
make,
Reverend
some
Frederick, say
necessary,
that.
make some necessary noise.
Mhm. Exactly. Now, one last aspect I want to come from, and that is a Black woman as a mother. And I know that I think 3 of us are specifically mothers of Black sons. That now adds a whole new dynamic of stress, fear, and anguish. The fact that when my oldest son turned 16 and wanted to take my vehicle for the first time, I had to sit him down and go over the Texas statute for search and seizure, so that if you ever get stopped, baby, know that this is the rule. But baby, when you call your mama, she coming with fire. Here we have, I live in District 7 in Dallas, and we got a foul city council person. He was in the streets last summer talking about Black Lives Matter, defund the police. And this summer, we tried to have an event. He called the police on us, trying to get us hurt. I have a son who is now 9, born premature, didn't speak till he was 3, still has a modicum of learning differences. I'm scared to death when somebody ignorantly, like my city councilman did, calls the police on him unnecessarily, and he's too frozen in fear to do what they say. And you know what happens. Understand that when I had the medical incident, first of all, they had to, I'm in the house dying. My son got out. And this is after I told this heifer I was sick. And they had to kick my door in because I didn't have the capacity to open the door because my life is leaving my body. And the police came and they took my child. They thought it prudent to be standing at the door with him, threatening me because I just didn't have the capacity to open the door. I don't remember that day of my life at all. The stress, the fear of having a Black son and dealing with law enforcement, or even being a Black woman dealing with law enforcement, is something that, like I said, it's a new dynamic, a new stress for us as Black women.
I wholeheartedly agree. You know, I work with families that have lost their Black son, Black husband, um, to law enforcement. And that is a loss that I never, ever, ever want to experience and wouldn't wish on anyone, certainly not on any mother. And it is it's unfortunate that we live in an environment where we have to educate our Black sons differently. Actually, Dr. Grayson, it's not even public knowledge that I have a son. Just because I was receiving death threats due to my work in this space. So you will see no pictures of him on my social media. I make no references to him because of the racist threats that I was receiving against my life. And so I have to protect my child at all costs. And as a mother, that's what you do. And now we're in a position where we have to tell our Black sons. I even told I told my son, I've always been an advocate for justice, always been an advocate for exercising your rights. I educate Black men. I worked with a local fraternity to educate young Black men about their rights. And my mantra used to always be to show, to demonstrate, hey, you have the right for this, you have the right for that, you have the right to do this. You don't have to let them search your car. You don't have to, that was always, I mean, I would run down the list. No, these are your rights. But now in today's climate, it's a whole different ball game, because now my speech is just comply, regardless of how degrading or demeaning it is. Just comply. Live to fight it in court. Just comply. Now, don't let them search. Don't agree to a search, and if they search you, obviously, then they violated your rights. But comply with what they ask you to do. Even if you feel you're not guilty, even if you feel you haven't done anything wrong. And that is very demeaning. And I've explained that to my child. I understand, because my son is like his mother. He likes to plead his case. So I told him, if you ever encounter law enforcement, just do what they tell you to do. Just let mama handle it in court. And so that's how we have to educate our Black children, especially our Black sons, is don't try your case on the street. Live to fight it in court. Just do what they say, comply, make it home, and we'll address this later. And it's unfortunate that we don't, once again, we're not afforded the same humanity. We're not afforded the same luxuries as our non-Black counterparts, because we're automatically, as young Black men, they're going to be deemed guilty just on the basis of their skin tone. So we have to teach them differently and train them differently. I mean, just something as simple as reaching for a cell phone to call for help. You can't do this. You keep your hands where they can see them. Don't reach for anything. If they want your driver's license, make sure you tell them where, what you're doing. Make sure you move slowly. I mean, it's a whole different ball game educating a young Black man as a mother. Nowadays, it's something totally different. It should not be that way. And I will fight until my dying day to change it. But right now, that's where we are. And this is what, and this is true. Somebody made a comment. Complying doesn't guarantee getting home alive. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Because sometimes you will, you see, we've all seen the videos. We've all seen the videos where people comply and they still don't make it home. And so, but I always, now, if I ever am in a position to educate young Black men, to speak to young Black men, I tell them to comply. Don't fight. I understand you didn't do anything, whatever the case may be. Live to fight it in court. Don't try your case on the street, because some of these officers will deem themselves as the judge, the jury, and the executioner right there on the spot. And that's what we don't want to happen. So, but that's something that's near and dear to my heart. As a mother, we have the weight of the world on our shoulders, especially raising Black sons.
And that's truth there. Even when it came to the council competition here, the council election, that's something I looked at. If you're telling me you're bringing in more law enforcement, you most likely are not going to get my vote. We're not going to sit there and put a Band-Aid over a gaping wound. Why don't we look at the root cause? Why is there crime here? We don't have jobs. Your jobs are in other locations. Do we have transportation? Park. But you're giving us a bocce ball park, which we don't even know what that is. And we're in the most unhealthy zip code in Dallas County. That's just, go ahead.
Also, we got to look at, too, every Black woman that's out there that have a Black son, that just like with Officer Reiser have a Black mother, have Black relatives. When Officer Reiser was falsely accused of all the allegations that he was accused by the department that he worked for with the Dallas Police Department, once the Dallas District Attorney Office removed him from those charges, you would think that the Dallas Police Department would have came back and made it right by this black man. Because I'm looking at Officer Reiser as a black man. I don't care what job you have or what uniforms you guys wear and put on. You still a black person. You're a black man at the end of the day. But the person that falsely accused him still is in homicide, still working for the Dallas Police Department. So I don't understand how black people can sit and be so quiet, and we quick to come out and want to be disrespectful and talk about a black woman, but you have black men that are being done wrong right here, in the Dallas Fort area. And when we start talking about police officers, yeah, you do have some good police officers and you have some bad ones. But when I look at Officer Reiser, I look at him as a black man. If they have came out and he was is now saying that he didn't do the things he was alleged of doing, why haven't Dallas Police Department made that man whole again? He don't have his job back, ain't been reinstated, didn't get compensated, didn't get nothing. And that's because they still look at him as a black man, and they always want to find something wrong when they err. Instead of coming out and saying we made an error, they still want to watch someone because they don't want to make a public acknowledgement that they made a mistake. They made an error in judgment when they came after someone that worked for them. So again, black men, that you need to stop being quiet and you need to speak up. You need to stop being quiet and you need to speak up. You need to have black women back. And then when black men are wrongfully convicted of something, you guys need to start speaking up. If all black men, like when they did the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., if black men by themselves would come together, band together, a lot of the things that plague our black communities, a lot of things that we see happening on jobs, a lot of these things, it would be probably overturned because people wouldn't want to deal with black people. Because then they say, if we do this, they're coming. They don't even say that anymore any longer. They're coming. Who's coming? Two people? Three black people? They might say only one coming, and they're not frightened, they're not intimidated, because they know you're not coming with the entourage of black people. And I just think, again, everything that's happening, we're just letting black people down. And on the subject about black sons, I have black sons, I have black grandsons, and I have that's something I have to pray about. And I tell my children, if you stop by the police, you comply. You comply. You say yes, sir. You say no, sir. You say yes, ma'am. You say no, ma'am. And I said, because if they body cams are on, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna see what happened. I'm gonna see what happened. And I have to just send hugs and just have to love on black mothers that have lost a black son to any type of violence or that's been killed by the police. I have to just send my love to them because God knows that I'm a person that's like walking in progress, and God already know that. I don't think that I would be able to be that strong black mother that'll be able to be trying to fight some kind of legal battles and things like that. No. I would be non-existent. And I have to pray and just ask God to just to help me with that. But when it comes to my black sons, no, I don't tend to want them to be a part um the circle or out in front, because you do fear that some of these angry people want to take it out on your kids or your grandchildren, because the possibility is very strong as someone coming after your kids when they can't come after you. And that's the coward way that they do. They sit back and they plot, and the next person that they do come for are your children. And so that's reality. That is reality. So
And
they just
that
got to know
is,
the ones they coming for.
when the medical incident happened again, another way I was degraded in that process. They called, and this is what Duncanville police did. While I appreciate them saving my life, they called CPS on me. The neighbors told them my child is never outside without, his mom. But they called CPS on me, and I was investigated. Y'all know me. Y'all know Blade ain't never not been taken care of. But it was degrading to have this woman walk through my house, look at his room, I had to take my, because I have a CHL, I had to take my weapon out and prove to her I have a lockbox for it. Look in the refrigerator to make sure there was food. And I'm like, you can look at me and tell we have not missed a meal. Degrading. I bet you if I was not Black, that call wouldn't have been made. But they called, and they found a relative to take my child. But they called CPS on me. And that was degrading. So I really have enjoyed this conversation. I want us to continue these. I think they are important. While we're going to end, I want you to end with this. We have a few years on Earth between us. I think Shannon's probably the youngest. And as more seasoned Black women, how do we tell our younger Black women best to navigate this terrain? What do we want to say to Sha'Carri? Now, I'll make it plain. We know, Sha'Carri, we love you. We love you beyond words, baby. What can we say to make this better? What are your suggestions about us putting together some kind of group? Anybody know what the Brady's list is?
I do.
Okay.
The Brady list is a list. So anytime an officer is being used, their testimony is being used in a case, they have to turn over a list of the officer's infractions to opposing counsel. So they'll have to turn that over to the defendant's attorneys. And the Brady list is a list of officers who have committed certain infractions, and those will go to the DAs. Well, the DAs will have to turn those over to defense attorneys, and they can use that against officers in court to kind of question their integrity and truthfulness with regard to their testimony and their account of the interaction with the defendant.
Oh, okay. So that's a good one there, Ms. Craig Latcher. You had an attorney answer that one for you. Although I would question the integrity of it specifically with Dallas because their open records database is a mess. So and that's the database, I guess, where these officers' infractions are recorded. One of them anyway, that's open to the public. But it's a good
actually, it's internal. Dr. Grayson, it's their internal, like officers that have been reprimanded, disciplined, all of that comes into play. Once the officer gets on the stand, all of that comes into play.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is good to have. Woo! The Black woman. Now we're looking at that. Just a quick note. Y'all know we got the police oversight board that's run by a Black woman attorney, Miss Tanya McClary. And y'all need to see how the chief of police talked to her and disagreed with her because, you know, they're penalizing Black people for small amounts of marijuana. And she said it isn't worth it to do this. And he went at her and then talked about it's a gateway drug and then backpedaled and agreed.
Okay, I'm just gonna stay silent.
Again, but had she been a brown man, we wouldn't have had to go through all of that. Because you know he good for taking pictures with folks that look like him. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. What do y'all want to say to those that are coming behind us? What's the best piece of advice you could give them to sustain as a Black woman in Amerikkka?
I guess I can start.
Go ahead, Angela.
Oh, okay. First, I just want, if Sha'Carri is listening, I just want her to know, Sha'Carri, I love you. This is a temporary setback, but I promise you, God is gonna make your comeback more powerful. Won't nobody be able to stop you for the simple fact that you took the high role. And, something that Michelle Obama always said is that when they go low, we go high. Because you could have came out and you could have lied, but that's not what you did, because that's not your character. So your comeback is going to be powerful, that nobody will be able to stand in your way. And what I would like to send out to sisters, Black sisters, have each other's back. Stop feeling like that you got to be the first one to get to the top. If you and stop being so competitive, if we have each other back, then we could get to the top together. And I just don't see a lot of the togetherness. And I think that we need to work more on working together as Black females, instead of trying to stab each other in the back, backbiting, and just bringing another Black sister down. We need to just kind of work together, and we get to the top together. So I strongly recommend, and what I would say to someone that's coming up underneath me, don't feel that your progress, it depends on you taking out or demeaning another Black sister.
Kim or Shannon? Or Shannon?
I was gonna say, similar to Angela, empowering one another. It's so very important for us to do that. Because the struggles and the hate and everything is already there. We don't need to multi-layer that with some, unnecessary stuff, whatever. So just empowering each other and living authentically. We're all different, like you said in your post all the time. We are built different. We have different hair. We are just, everything is so different. And that's what makes us all beautiful and, just incredible. So differences are okay. And and just live authentic, be yourself, and don't make, important choices out of fear.
Good job. I like that. Don't make important choices out of fear. Go, Kim.
So for me, I decided I wanted to be an attorney at 9 years old. And my entire life, that was my goal. And I did not allow anything to distract me from that. So for the younger women, I would say pursue your dreams relentlessly and don't listen to the negativity. Drown out all the noise. Whatever you decide to be in life, you can become that. You can excel, just like Sha'Carri. You can be somebody. You can be whoever you want to be. And don't let anything stop you. And another thing, one thing I've noticed in corporate America, I think it's very important for a younger woman to get a mentor. Find another strong sister to help you navigate. And one of the best pieces of advice I can give is self-care. Love yourself and take care of yourself. If you need to take a moment to get away, turn off the phones, the computers, whatever you need to do, take care of yourself. And also be your sister's keeper. We have to have each other's back. This entire system was set up for us to fail. And so we have got to have one another's back. Be your sister's keeper.
All right. You've gotten so much good information here today. I would just be repeating. Get a mentor. Love yourself. Love yourself. Don't make important choices out of fear. Have each other's back. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. I said, what can I add to it? That's it. Because you need to understand how things work. Mm-hmm. You need to understand the history so you don't repeat it. Mm-hmm. You need to understand things like critical race theory so you understand the systems that are in place, like Kim said, that are designed exactly to hurt us. Educate yourself on and to you. Because if you can't get to an attorney, like Kim said, even though we're telling you to comply, but you need to know your rights. You need to still know to say no to that search. You do have a right to call me. And I'm saying for my son and that type of thing. Educate yourself. Learn who's in your community. Learn about the NAACP. That is one of our oldest organizations that has stood with us through the years.
And love yourself.
And
Be okay. Be okay with loving who you are when you look in the mirror and what you see. Because
exactly.
it's okay.
And learn about other people. What I'm saying is, don't just stick to people that have the same mindset as you. Be open. Embrace all of our Black sisters, even those that are difficult to embrace. Have our backs regardless. When we have issues, we should keep it in our house. You know, they say don't keep it. That's one we keep it in our house, and we need to take it up with each other. Outside, you know, like we're in a sorority. Outside, we look like we got it together, but inside, we may be having it out, but you won't know it. All right. So now I want to thank everyone that participated. Special thank you to Angela, Shannon, and Kim. The culmination of this conversation will be Saturday, July 10th at, oh dear, Shannon, what's the address?
20-something 22. It's the Martin Luther King Rec Center.
Yeah, it's 2922 Martin Luther King Drive here in South Dallas. We are going to have a peaceful march in protest of the archaic ruling and to support Sha'Carri. We want Sha'Carri to know the community supports her. It's not, you know, she's held herself accountable. We don't need to do that. We are here to support our young sister who is an Olympian. So again, Saturday, July 10th at 2922 MLK Drive at 6:00 p.m. Meet us there. Peaceful march. We're going to have speakers, and also inbox me. What do you all want to talk about? Does anyone else want to be a speaker on these panels? Because we're going to keep doing this. This is powerful, it's needed, and it's worthwhile. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
And Dr. Grayson,
Dr.
Grayson, I just wanted to just give a plug. To find out more about the NAACP, you can go to www.naacp.org, because we are the boldest, the baddest, and the coldest civil rights organization around.
All right, y'all heard it. www.grandprairie.org, Grand Prairie Branch. Now you gotta live in Grand Prairie to be a member of that one, don't you?
No, because you know you're a member of the National Association. So when you join the NAACP, you actually join the national organization, but you have a right to affiliate yourself with any branch that's around.
Okay. All right.
One membership that comes from the national office.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So look it up. We're saying, you know, she said we need to stand up. There's an organization with which you can stand up if you feel you can't do it by yourself. All right. Love y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day today. And everybody, thank you for watching.
Happy 4th of July.